Hollywood. I don't know all of the words, but I know the medley. Da 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 da. Hello, everyone. Happy April. Happy Oscar month. Amy and Samir here with the
It
Book
is
Club
time.
Movies. It is the time. Is upon us. Never thought the day would come.
It's our this is our version of March Madness.
It is. It really is. Super excited to get this month going. We revealed our Oscar April calendar yesterday, and we've got Oscar-nominated movies. Or, I'm sorry, not even Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning films all month.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to be kicking things off today with the first of 5 Genre Thursdays we have for this month, all movies about movies. So we've got some fun things planned. But Samir, happy Thursday. How you doing?
It's been a busy day, but a good one. It's warm again here. So this outfit is coming off as soon as the video is over. but I think this is a jacket I haven't worn on the show yet, So that still fits also, also a blessing. So good day and all. It's nice when you try on something in the closet you haven't worn since before the pandemic and it still fits. Oh, well, thank you, Colin.
Oh, yes. Hello.
I got this from India, actually.
Yeah, I don't think I've worn this dress on the show.
I don't believe you have. Well, I don't know about that or that necklace either, which I'll say again, I love.
Thank you. Yeah, this is like some vintage rhinestone thing. I think my grandma had it. She had the best costume jewelry. Yeah. Thank you, Mama, for always being glamorous. Yeah, but we've got some fun things planned for today. We will be talking about the Vincent Minnelli multiple Oscar-winning film, The Bad and the Beautiful, to get our Genre Thursday kicked off. Before, you know what, I just want to go ahead and show our calendar again for those who maybe missed it from yesterday. So this is our April calendar. These are all the movies we have planned for this month. Every single Friday, with the exception of the Friday before the Oscars, we have a double feature that focuses on some other Oscar-winning films that, maybe like they won for Oscars that you weren't totally aware of. Really wanted to highlight. Most of the time, we really highlight the actors and the directors on our show, and this was a chance to highlight some of the other people, the little guys. Who are
all the people who make a movie happen.
Yes.
Cinematography, art direction, makeup, editing, and costumes are all essential to a great movie as well. And we have a lot of great movies planned for those double feature weekends to celebrate all of those other artists who make movies possible.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of fun things planned. I'm so excited to get this started. This calendar, I still haven't printed it out. I need to print this out and put it on my fridge. But this calendar is on our Instagram. It's on our the Book Club for Movies Facebook page, or the Facebook group, I should say. So follow along. Even if you can't watch the lives or our live shows, maybe just use this as a guide to maybe watch some movies that you were not aware of.
Yes, please do.
All righty, but before we go into our main spiel for today, yesterday we talked about Carmen Miranda.
Oh,
the wonderful Carmen Miranda, gone too soon. Learned a lot about her yesterday, and we watched this Busby Berkeley movie. The Gang's All Here. I hadn't seen this. Oh my god!
Ugh. Told you.
Okay.
I was not kidding. This movie is one of the weirdest things because it's half like psychedelic trip and half like war bond sales commercial.
Yeah.
Because it's made during World War II. So it's like you get all this rah rah USA, soldiers are great, but then it's like has these the camera movements in this movie are like I've never seen cameras move like that in any other movie. They go in so many weird directions and spin and turn and travel in extraordinarily complicated long takes to capture everything. I'm like, my brain just kept like feeling disoriented because just of the camera movement. Then you add the color and the performances and the dancing and the really weird songs.
Yeah, the crazy musical numbers were, I wouldn't say surprising to me, just given that I've seen other Busby Berkeley things and just kind of know this is what you're gonna get. And although this was nice of finally getting to see some of his artistic abilities in color for the first time, that was pretty great. And yes, I see what you're talking about with the Tron costumes with these neon circles that they had. That was pretty cool. The plot of this was ridiculous. Like,
Yes.
why did he even give a fake name to begin with? And then it turned into like this huge thing. And some of the Carmen Miranda was like the standout in this, and there were a couple other supporting people that were fun. But Alice Faye and I guess it's Phil Baker, I didn't think they were too exciting. And Phil Baker was just like awful. Apparently, he had a long long career in westerns after this. But like every one of his lines was like the cheesiest thing of just like I'll eat hay if you lead me to it, and like, oh gee, and like everything was like that, like, oh, like you bet, and it was just like the cheesiest 1940s lines you could think of were all given to him.
And her character even like calls him out once. She's like, "Do you get results with that line?" You know, like, even a character in the movie is saying that to him. That's, I think, a level at which like I feel like Busby Berkeley made some kind of deal with the studio. Okay, like you let me do mescaline and make this movie, and I will turn it into a commercial for war bonds to support the United States war effort and the Allies' war effort. And they're like, okay, here's a ton of money and Carmen Miranda.
Yeah.
Because also Carmen Miranda being in it, there's like, you know, during the World War II, there was the good neighbor policy. So the US was trying to be friendly with Brazil because there was the threat that somehow fascism would move to South America. And unless we sort of planted ourselves there in a way like, hey, no, we love you, be friends with us, don't go to them, kind of thing. Like, so they did that was actually kind of what undid Orson Welles, was, you know, while he was in Brazil on the same kind of policy as when they chopped up Magnificent Ambersons.
Right.
And, you know, so like her being in this movie and this whole Brazil thing is very much part of the good neighbor policy worked into the movie. Carmen Miranda just looks like she's having the time of her life at every second of this film.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I want a banana xylophone for my home because she's having the greatest time playing it, not correctly, but it just like, I want one.
That's the Tutti Frutti hat sequence you could definitely probably find on YouTube, but
polka dot polka.
Yeah, I watched this. Okay, that song was ridiculous, but also why wasn't she like featured in the finale more? Because Alice Faye was just very dull. Nice voice, but very dull.
Yeah, it's a little lower register.
Yeah,
you know, you can tell she doesn't have.
It was nice. You know, I think we watched some other musicals with these like canary sopranos, and it was nice to have a woman with that lower alto voice, which I really appreciated. But yeah, Carmen Miranda should have been in this movie more. But when she was in it, all of her costumes were fantastic. I don't know how tall she was, but I'm guessing she was pretty petite, because if you looked at those platform shoes that she was just dancing away in, those things were at least like 5-6 inch platforms, and she's like sambaing and doing all types of crazy things. Yeah, she was just spectacular to see in this. Yeah, I really wish she was in there more. It was fun to see Benny Goodman. I actually didn't know that Benny Goodman sang.
I didn't either until I first saw this film years ago, and I was like, oh, that's actually him singing.
Well, like, you know, he was a clarinet player. You can't really sing
also the
song at the same time.
Like, Paducah, Paducah, if you wanna, you can rhyme it with bazooka. Like, what is that about? I've been to Paducah. It's not that great. It is a really shitty little town. But
well, maybe back.
I mean, the part I saw of it, let's just say it that way. But also, Paducah, Paducah, like when she gets to it, Paducah, Paducah. Paducah, Paducah, Paducah. Like, I can't even do it now. I was mastering it last night, but I'm like, that song is really weird, but also just visually, the movie's so disorienting that like you're constantly just like almost like totally like absorbed by it. And then so she started, okay, that's polka dot song has always made me laugh more than anything, because I'm like,
polka dot polka.
Somebody really loves polka dots, because like there's that line and she looks off and like, The polka dot lives on. And I'm like she's making it sound like she's found like she's talking about penicillin or something, but it's polka dots. And then it just goes off into like totally bizarro territory where the dot becomes her, and then the dot becomes the viewfinder of a kaleidoscope. You can understand, like, when you've seen other Busby Berkeley movies, you can understand why in the 60s when LSD became was everywhere and you can get it and buy it and it was popular, all of his movies came back into popularity. So there were like, independent movie houses showing, retrospectives of Busby Berkeley movies that you could just get stoned at and watch these insane formations of people. And then when you get to Gangs All Here, it's combined with this phantasmagoric color spectrum. In addition to all of that, like, people just like went to town on this movie on LSD in the late 60s. And you can see why when you watch. You don't even need drugs to feel like you're on drugs watching this movie.
Yeah, this movie was a trip. And it was crazy. It was fun. It had some great acting. It had some terrible acting in it that was just so bad that it was amusing. So
it's all around, I think, like, I just love it. I would never change a thing about it. And thank you for the compliment, Walter.
Yeah, just super, super fun. But if you didn't see this movie, it's available to rent right now.
I own it, so I watch it whenever I want.
Yeah, for Carmen Miranda and Benny Goodman. And his just, man, he's just sexy with that clarinet. Just, woo. Yeah. I love Benny Goodman music, though. It's just like, this band's just dripping in sex appeal. Oh boy. But please check out the Gangs All Here. But let's move on. Before we go on to the band The Beautiful, it is Name That Movie time. So as we've been doing this week, we will pick 2 from each day. You have to guess the movie based on the images. I will do my best to try and keep the images up here. I didn't know this first one because it's been so long since I've seen this movie. I know I'm going to get a lot of crap for it once you guys know what it is. But I really have not seen this movie since high school. Okay, here we go.
I mean, I think I got it from the first shot, but I'll let everyone have their moment.
So if you know what this is, go ahead and type it in the comments. And another gun, because every single one of these has
all guns. These movies have guns. Come on, I know somebody out there knows this. The first shot is the first one is really like the giveaway.
Got it. Taxi Driver. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie since high school, but
that shot of the like red and green lights and the steam rising out of the subway as the taxi drives. It's such a image that gets burned in your brain. So I've never, even if you don't remember every part of the movie, that image has always stayed in my head. Because it's kind of like one of those things that are real, it's like an artist's eye moment. You can kind of as a photographer, when you're walking down the street, suddenly you just, the way the light looks in this moment, in this place, like somehow you just want to capture it. And maybe I like that Martin Scorsese was always able to sort of translate that kind of artist's eye into his movies. So that shot is like, says Taxi Driver to me instantly. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. There's a lot of movies with taxis. And then you went from, I'm like, oh no, that's yeah. So well done, Walter.
All right, one more. Now this movie, this was on our calendar, I want to say in November. So people should get this one if you did your homework. All right, here we go. Thank you.
Come on. I know somebody knows it.
Do you know it?
I do.
All right.
Well, now I'm not sure. Nobody seems to know it.
Come on. I know you've got that delay. Wild guess. Wild guess. Walter guessed bus stop. No.
We watched it in November.
We watched it when we talked about Cloris Leachman.
I I know what it is, but I know Amy knows because she's got the book.
Well, I actually did know this one too, but
Amy.
No, I did know this one.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Finally, someone got it. The Last Picture Show. I know it's hard to tell on when I hold the image up on the movie theater. It says Spencer Tracy, father of the bride, on the marquee.
See, I also remember that, like, what was it? One of the times it was like some other, was it Red River, or it was some movie that was just like, okay, what like film critic is like programming the movies in this like small Texas town? They have all these like Cahiers de Cinema beloved films on their screen. But yes, I love this game. We'll have more tomorrow.
Thank you all for playing. Yeah, we'll do 2 more tomorrow. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about movies and how much I certainly love them. I mean, Sing in the Rain is my all-time favorite movie. That's one of the ultimate movies about movies. The Oscars love movies about movies. They certainly like talking about themselves. I mean, even many Best Picture winners. I think most recently what I can think of is The Artist. That being a movie about making a movie, and it won Best Picture. Yeah. But why? What do you think the appeal is, Samir?
Well, I enjoy the movies like Singing in the Rain, which are taking a really fun. It's not just historical. There's actually a story beyond just trying to report what happened when Hollywood transitioned to sound. It was not really just about that, and it manages to comment on all these other different movie tropes and the little things you do as a part of making movies that maybe not skirt the truth, but put a shine on it for the screen in a way, you know. So there's like all these other elements that are in that movie, but I also love these movies that use it as a tool of reflection and basically trying to get inside the artist's head. You know, what's it like to be an actor? What's it like to be in a movie? What's it like to be somebody who's making a film? The first movie we chose actually kind of covers all these different aspects. Because there's like, I think there's like an actor, there's a director and a writer, there's like all these other different parts of movie making that are brought into this Hollywood story. And so I love these kinds of stories that kind of expose the raw underbelly of a corrupt system, and how difficult it is to work in the system. But also, we also love these celebrations of the form that come from these movies. So you get a lot of introspective stories about movies. Sometimes you just get good parodies. So like a lot of the movies that we chose like today is more of a straight drama. And it doesn't need a great deal of intellectual study for you to understand what makes the movie great. It just sort of gives you a nice picture into what it's like to be a creative person in the system and always trying to guard your ideas and things like that. But then we have like 8.5, which is like you're inside a filmmaker's brain during a sort of artistic block. We get all these different variations on what the movies mean to people and what the movies do within the culture. And I think we've got a nice cross section that covers a lot of these different things. And I do think this is the perfect movie to start with. Of course, like you said, Vincent Minnelli again. He's such a great commenter on art forms through the art form of the movies that why should we be surprised that he's done another great one?
4th Vincent Minnelli film that we've done.
And this one's in black and white, though. All the other ones have been in color, but we haven't seen his work in black and white yet, and it's really impressive here.
I'm looking at some of the comments. So clearly this is Mank being nominated for lots of things this year. This is still going on. People love their movies about movies. And then Jacob, does Super 8 count? I would say yes. And actually, when we just Googled movies about movies, and we went through several different lists that people had compiled just to make sure that we didn't miss anything, or and doing that gave us some ideas of movies we might have forgotten about. And Super 8 was on a few of those, and I would agree that maybe it's not as comprehensive as some of these other ones that actually take place like, oh, we're in Hollywood, but I think that one especially.
But it's about the movie making energy. It
does, and that really strikes a chord with a lot of these filmmakers that we've even talked about on our show, who, the Steven Spielbergs, who that's how they got started in movies, is they had a little Super 8 camera and they were just filming things with their friends and making their own little short films. So yes, I would say that. Hail Caesar is definitely another one that's super fun.
Sweet Smell of Success is great. Another excellent suggestion.
But today's film is The Bad and the Beautiful. This came out in 1952. An unscrupulous movie producer uses an actress, a director, and a writer to achieve success. Winner of 5 Oscars. It won. Gloria Graham won Best Supporting Actress. At the time, she held the record for the shortest screen time for winning a Best Supporting Actress role. I think it was like under 10 minutes.
Very short.
Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, black and white. Best Art Direction, black and white. Best Costume Design, black and white. And then Kirk Douglas was nominated for Best Actor but did not win. Lana Turner, Kirk Douglas, Walter Pidgeon, Dick Powell, Barry Sullivan, Gloria Graham. So many amazing people in this. Samira has been trying to get me to watch this movie since we started doing this show.
and Walter says he thinks it's the best film about Hollywood ever made. This is definitely a movie about Hollywood, about making movies in Hollywood. So not movies in general, but definitely within that system. So it definitely paints a portrait of, like I said, the title says it all. It's like The Bad is very much the Kirk Douglas character is this producer whose actions are not, they seem selfish, but they're also in the interest of, like, he sees something great possible and he wants to produce this great work of art that people will love and will last the time. He really wants to make something interesting and wonderful, but he doesn't understand how much of the system is allowing him to just basically be a horrible person and not really have to pay a consequence for it to get away with it. So you see how he interacts with all these other people, and you get a bad and a beautiful side of the business. When it's beautiful, it's really beautiful. When it's bad, it's really bad. And so there is a specific moment in this movie that I don't think I ever thought I would see Kirk Douglas. I know he's a great actor. I'm not contesting that at all, but there's a moment where he goes so deep into like the bad part of his character. It's like just a couple seconds, this one reactive moment that I think will surprise you. If you haven't seen this movie before, it will genuinely surprise you. It surprises everybody that I show this movie to. They are not expecting it to get for a moment of that kind of deep darkness, even for 2 seconds.
I was reading about how Kirk Douglas really credited Vincent Minnelli with how he directed him, saying that he was able to get performances out of him that he didn't even think that he could do. Like, his instinct for a lot of these moments, I guess, would just be like, I'm going to get big, I'm going to explode. And Vincent Minnelli was like, let's calm down, like, play up the charming aspect of it, which at the time,
he does let him blow
up.
Like,
I don't know about that. Yeah, and then he saw the film and was like, thank you.
Because it makes that moment stand out. And it precipitates, I think, probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I think it also precipitates perhaps Lana Turner's best moment of acting on screen ever. I think this is her best performance. I'm a little sad that she didn't win the Oscar over Gloria Graham for this.
Lana Turner, I guess, she had a lot of self-esteem issues with her acting. Not all actors, but every time, even if it was her fault for messing up a take, I guess Vincent Minnelli would never tell her that. He would say like, "Oh, it was like something was wrong with the lighting. Let's try this one again." He would never say something was her fault. And
well, I think that speaks to his instinctive ability to work with actors. Like, we already heard Kirk Douglas say, he got something out of me that I didn't even think I possessed. Like, he got him to pull something from way deeper inside than he thought he could. And I think he did the same with Lana Turner. And I think things, little touches and details like that, it's like, you know, you're not going to get a better performance by telling her you did terribly. We need to do it again because you were bad. Even if you say that in the nicest way, that person, he can tell that person is going to shut down emotionally in some way and not really be able to give what they need. So he treated her with respect and kindness, knowing that she would perform better that way. So it's very unlike some of the other directors. Like Busby Berkeley was not known for being nice to actors. He was very much a taskmaster and a stern one. Alfred Hitchcock, not always, very complimentary, and actually a lot of actors do have stories of having great working relationships with him. Other actors, not so much. But Vincent Minnelli just seems like the kind of actor who just had a sensitivity to other people that made him a real good director of actors. And you see it in spades in this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait for you to watch it.
I know. So I have this Vincent Minnelli coffee book thing. It goes through every single one of his films. And I just kind of scammed the Bad and the Beautiful section because I still haven't seen the movie, so I didn't want to read anything that's going to ruin it for me. But a little bit about how this movie came about. So this producer named John Houseman, he came across something called Memorial to a Bad Man in the February 1951 issue of the Ladies' Home Journal. This told of a just deceased and unlamented Broadway producer whose legacy is a deathbed letter to 3 protégés, reminding them that for all his sins, they owe their careers to his exasperating genius. So he was inspired by that. They got the screenplay written. It became the title. The working title of this was called Tribute to a Bad Man, and that was what the film was called for a long, long time. Eventually, it was changed to The Bad and the Beautiful. I guess Beautiful was added to talk about Lana Turner. There are many characters.
I think added because Vincent Minnelli definitely sees beauty in the movie world and the creation of movies. I feel like that's more where that word comes from in his eyes than just Lana Turner, because it is applying to what.
Turner. Okay. So it's got to be right. I think there are a lot of characters in this that are supposed to reflect actual working people in the industry at that time. I know this, I guess, goes so in line with David O. Selznick's career that he actually had an attorney read over the script to be like, hey, is there anything I should worry about? And the attorney read it and was like, I mean, we just don't have any grounds to sue them. So
right. Well, there's also very clear indications that there are aspects of Val Lewton worked into this character as well. So that, and if anybody who watched Cat People when we assigned it way back when will recognize those moments, because there's a specific moment where they're basically in the same position that Val Lewton was in, where it's like you have this small amount of money, you have to make a movie about some sort of cat horror movie, and this is what you got in here, your costumes, and this, it's like, so you get the, it's very, very, very strongly impressed upon us that this is that there's Val Lewton incorporated into this also. I don't know that Val Lewton was like that. I don't know if he was like this producer, but I think the ingenuity of how Val Lewton created movies sort of fit with the sort of manic creative energy of the Kirk Douglas character. And so it was another way to work in reference to existing films and existing people in film, and a movie that became very famous and popular. So it's interesting to see all the places it comes into. And then Vincent Minnelli 10 years later revisits almost the same kind of story with Kirk Douglas playing almost the exact same character. I don't know if he has the same name, but the movie's called 2 Weeks in Another Town, and it has what's his name? The insurance boss from Double Indemnity, whose name is escaping me right now. He's like a director who thinks he's past his prime, but he's working on this big picture. But in the movie, they're like showing an example of this director's previous work, and Kirk Douglas is sitting in there and repeats the same exact gesture of kicking off his shoes and putting his feet up on a chair. And they're watching The Bad and the Beautiful in the movie as like an example of the previous work that they've done together. And so it's like this unofficial sequel to this movie that's made in color. So if anybody loves this movie, that other film is highly recommended. It's not always easy to find streaming, but I think you will find it equally great and interesting as this film. Sorry. It just sprung to mind.
No, we appreciate the info. Super excited to finally watch this movie. Again, winner of 5 Oscars. Perfect movie to kick off our Oscar movie month. This is available on the Criterion app. And I think that's only where it's available, unless you rent it. But get that Criterion app. We're going to have a lot of movies
on that app this month
that are on there. Yeah, but be sure to watch your movies legally, as always. Yeah. Join us tomorrow as we talk about The Bad and the Beautiful. Tomorrow is the first of our double feature days for the weekend. Samir, do you want to explain again why we went with 2 besides just trying to squeeze in more movies?
More movies? Well, the reason was for a lot of these categories, originally there was just that category when they first started doing Oscars. Some categories got introduced like much later on. Like the makeup category didn't get added till 1980, and we just wanted 2 movies that week. But all the other ones, once color filmmaking became a normal option, even if it was more expensive, it was you were regularly seeing color films produced. This process was perfected and used by the studios. They, instead of giving just one award, I think probably they felt maybe it was a little unfair because people would be so dazzled by color that color films would just win all the awards for these categories now, for cinematography and costumes and all these other things. And so the Oscars gave out a separate award, one for black and white cinematography, one for black and white costumes, one for black and white. So whenever we had a category that had once awarded both, we decided to pick a movie in black and white and a movie in color for those categories, and those are our Fridays. And then I think there's like the makeup one, there wasn't a black and white and a color nominee by the time
until the 80s.
because it didn't start until the 80s, but we felt to keep in keeping with the double feature, we would add another film that celebrated the achievements in movie makeup, which is another aspect of film that, it's funny that it's like a whole different category of movies usually gets represented. That's like the only place where horror or suspense films really, or sci-fi films, a lot of times that's like the category that they get relegated to. It's like cinematography.
For that week. So tomorrow we are going to be talking about Master and Commander in the Far Side of the World. That is a Patreon pick from my Aunt Julia. She said she was feeling nautical and she suggested a few sailing and ship movies. And then The Picture of Dorian Gray from the 1940s. Those are both obviously won Best Cinematography. Tomorrow, and we never know how long our episodes are going to be, but we'll definitely highlight both of the actual cinematographers on those and see if we could find out a little bit about them and their work. I'm going to go ahead and assume that they're both men. So we'll highlight those men tomorrow and talk about some other things that they have worked on. Yeah, so it'll be a fun day, but The Bad and the Beautiful is tonight, again, available on the Criterion app. Please check out our Patreon that's in the comments. Also, if you would like to buy some merchandising, like Clever Movies coffee mugs and sweatshirts and t-shirts and whatever else I threw the logo on, that's on Redbubble. Look for my name or the Book Club for Movies and you will find it. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening. Hope you enjoy The Bad and the Beautiful. And we'll see you tomorrow.